Did you know? Over the course of The Simpsons' 28 seasons, the show has lent its name to even more games. The first Simpsons game, Bart vs. the Space Mutants, was released in 1991 and closely resembles the plot of John Carpenter's 1988 film They Live. In the film, professional wrestler Rowdy Roddy Piper finds sunglasses that allow him to see aliens disguised as humans. Similar to They Live, Bart finds X-ray specs that reveal aliens disguised as humans. And just like in the film, Bart has to convince everyone that aliens exist. The game was released on many different platforms, including the NES, Atari ST, Sega Master System, and the Amiga. From July 1991 to September 1992, various Amiga bundles came with the Cartoon Classics, which included Bart vs. the Space Mutants. For the Amiga version of the game, Arc Developments wanted to make a new intro that better reflected the show's animation. Although each frame was sent to and edited by Simpsons creator Matt Groening, the animation still looked mediocre compared to the show. Another early entry was the Simpsons arcade game, developed by Konami and tested by Konami of America near Chicago. Following the success of the 1989 Ninja Turtles arcade game, Konami took the Turtles beat-em-up gameplay and applied it to The Simpsons. While there's plenty of familiar content in the game, fans noticed some stark difference from the show. While the Simpsons family sounded like they did on TV, Mr. Burns and Smithers sounded nothing like their characters. This is because Harry Shearer, who voiced over 20 characters including Burns and Smithers, didn't voice any of the game's characters. This is most noticeable during the final boss fight.
Welcome to your grave.
Similarly, fans noticed a lack of another prominent voice, Hank Azaria. Azaria's absence meant that characters such as Moe and Otto were uncharacteristically quiet throughout the game. It's unknown whether their omission was due to availability, budget, or technical constraints. A gag that Konami included in the game were rabbits from Groening's first successful publication, Life in Hell. Published from 1977 to 2012, the comic strip involved anthropomorphic rabbits covering a wide range of themes. While some of the rabbits in the arcade games are enemies, there's another nod to the comic. If Marge is electrocuted, her skeletal silhouette has a pair of rabbit ears. According to Groening, he originally planned for Marge's hair to conceal a pair of large Life in Hell-esque rabbit ears. The ears were set to be revealed in Season 1's finale, but Groening decided to scrap the idea. Another interesting detail is that the Japanese game was notably easier than the international version. The usage of weapons was tweaked and the player's health could go past 100%. Even more surprising is the inclusion of arbitrarily placed atomic bombs, which only appear in the Japanese game. In February of 2012, both Xbox Live and PlayStation Network re-released the Simpsons arcade game. Unfortunately, the title was ultimately removed from both console stores and has not returned. In the early 90s, Bart's Nightmare was published on the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis to a lukewarm reception. The game's designer, Bill Williams, was a celebrated developer with several acclaimed titles under his belt. Williams suffered from cystic fibrosis and spent much of his time thinking of new ways to experience games. Although he started making out experimental indie games, Williams would eventually take an office job making licensed games at Sculptured Software. While working on Bart's Nightmare, Bill would constantly have to rework the game so it fit executive demands. These orders came from the management of his studio, the Simpsons license holders, and even Nintendo. Unhappy with the corporate environment of the industry, Williams walked away from the project when it was nearly completed. He quit the game industry and enrolled in the Lutheran School of Theology at Chicago. His goal was to become a pastor, help people, and gain a stronger connection with the world. Sadly though, Williams passed away at the age of 37 due to his condition. The show itself is well known for parodying pop culture, and this is true for The Simpsons games as well. One of the series' lesser-known games, Virtual Springfield, has a secret mini-game within the Kwik-E-Mart. As Apu, the player must fight hoodlums using a broom, a shotgun, and an overpowered weapon. With its gibs and presentation, the mini-game is an obvious parody of Doom. Some of the games also reference movies. Krusty's Funhouse, for instance, has a password system, with most passwords being the names of Simpsons characters. In the title's Super Nintendo version, however, one of the passwords is Joshua, a reference to the Cold War hacking movie War Games. These parodies and references were taken to a new level in the 2000s. In 2005, EA acquired exclusive rights for the Simpsons license. The license acquisition was significant as it was the first time Fox ever agreed to a long-term exclusive Simpsons game deal. The Simpsons has always been known for its jabs at pop culture, but the new partnership gave rise to a plethora of possible game references. In an interview with Game Almighty, lead designer Greg Rizza stated that he was excited to parody and poke fun at the industry. Unfortunately, not all game developers approved of their properties being parodied though. During the 2007 Games Convention in Leipzig, made, Rockstar wasn't happy with Grand Theft Scratchy posters being displayed while they showed off Grand Theft Auto 4. Rockstar ultimately asked EA to pull the posters down. In an interview with CVG, RZA commented, "I was always under the impression that when you do a parody, it's a sign of respect. If we make fun of Grand Theft Auto, we're not doing it to hurt the sales of Grand Theft Auto. We've definitely had some reactions. We've had to pull stuff from the game." However, other companies like Harmonix and Capcom embraced parodies such as Sitar Hero and Mega Mole Man X. The developers used regular Simpsons show writers Tim Long, Matt Selman, and Matt Warburton to create over 8,000 lines of dialogue for the game. RZA referred to the Simpsons game as the first playable season of The Simpsons. While the game was the best received in the franchise, things took a sharp turn when EA released The Simpsons Tapped Out. Shortly after the title was released, it was pulled from the iOS App Store due to several problems. This included issues connecting to the servers, excessive bugs, and missing in-app purchases. As a freemium game, Tapped Out received criticism for its exploitative revenue structure and lack of gameplay. The phenomenon of freemium games led to them being mocked in a 2014 episode of South Park entitled "Freemium Isn't Free," where the show's Terrence and Phillip app bears an uncanny resemblance to the layout of Tapped Out. The episode reveals the cycle of enticing players to spend real money to buy in-game currency in order to avoid waiting. Did you also know the first thing that Matt Groening did in The Simpsons Hit and Run was kick the hell out of Marge? Or that Hit and Run had unused material that ended up in The Simpsons game? For more Simpsons facts, check out the Did You Know Gaming video on The Simpsons Hit and Run. And if you like this video, give it a like and consider subscribing. And if you want to hear more of my stuff, well, I would suggest that you watch my Simpsons skateboarding video, but that video is so damn old I don't ever want anyone to see it. So I'm gonna just suggest that you watch my most recent video on Ape Escape. Who remembers Ape Escape? No? Okay.